She wants to give me a Mercedes C-Class. I will accept that car.
No, I started with a Honda or a Toyota, and then it barely gets.
I will be happy with that car, but the thing is, I want my G-Wagon.
Nicolette Gray walked onto Dr. Phil at 15 and called $1,000 a month peasant money. The internet turned her into the Beverly Hills Brat overnight. But nobody knew what was happening inside that mansion behind the cameras. There were whispers about her missing father, rumors of a custody battle nobody wanted to explain, and accusations that her whole rich girl image was built on something darker than shopping trips. What really happened after Dr. Phil sent her home? And why did her own mother later admit the show was a mistake? The real story is stranger than anyone expected.
I want my mom to understand that I can't live off of $1,000 a month, and I grew up on a certain lifestyle. She can't just take that away from me immediately.
Nicolette Gray was born on April 14th or 15th, 2002, in Beverly Hills, California. And from the beginning, her life looked nothing like ordinary. She was raised by her mother, Nina Gray, a successful dentist with Persian roots from Iran, who built her own practice, Dental Plus, California. Nicolette and her younger sister Blair grew up with their mom after their parents separated when Nicolette was still very small. What made people even more curious was the silence around their father. Nina never publicly named him or explained much, and that mystery only fed more rumors as Nicolette became more famous. On the surface, everything looked glamorous. She grew up in a mansion around Hollywood wealth, luxury pools, designer clothes, and elite schools. Later, she switched to homeschooling so she could focus on building an online name for herself. Still, even in that polished world, there were signs that something deeper was forming. The money was always there, but so was the pressure, the family tension, and the strange mix of privilege and instability that would later explode in public. That public explosion came when Nicolette was just 15. By then, she was no longer just a rich Beverly Hills teenager living behind gates and posting pretty pictures. She became a national talking point almost overnight after appearing on Dr. Phil, where her fight with her mother over money turned into one of the most unforgettable spoiled teen stories on television. Suddenly, the world saw her not as a girl with expensive taste, but as the infamous Beverly Hills Brat. What made it hit so hard was that it did not feel like a small family disagreement. It felt bigger than that. It was a full battle over money, image, status, and what happens when a teenager grows up believing luxury is not a bonus, but a need. Long before all that, Nicolette had already started building the image that would make her famous. Around age 11, back in 2013, she was quietly filming and posting on social media before YouTube became the center of her career. While most kids her age were busy with school and games, she was already thinking in terms of makeup, fashion, and attention. She posted early clips on Instagram and Vine, showing off shopping trips, outfits, and little pieces of her rich Beverly Hills life. Even then, she knew how to frame herself. She posed with designer bags in a huge bedroom and carried herself like someone much older, already testing the role of a mini celebrity. It was not just childish fun. It felt like the beginning of a brand. And people noticed. Some were impressed, but many were not. While other kids were saving lunch money or asking for cheap clothes, Nicolette was casually talking about shopping sprees paid for by her mom. That alone was enough to bring early backlash. People thought she was too rich, too flashy, too young to be bragging that way. Later, when old clips resurfaced, critics even pointed to moments where she seemed to mock poor kids' clothes, which only added fuel to the image forming around her. What is interesting is that the warning signs were there very early. Her ambition was real, but so was her obsession with luxury. Even before the world fully knew her name, she was already showing exactly what kind of content she wanted to build. That same energy followed her onto YouTube. Nicolette created her self-titled YouTube channel on July 13, 2016, when she was only 14. But then she did something unusual. She waited. For nearly 2 years, she uploaded nothing. The channel sat there with her name, her image, and the idea of her Beverly Hills lifestyle hanging in the air without real content to explain it. That silence built a strange kind of curiosity. People who found her page already had a sense of who she was from Instagram. They saw the poses, the clothes, the luxury backgrounds, and the rich girl energy. So when she finally posted her first video in 2018, it did not feel like a small beginning. It felt like a launch. Her first upload, "Come Shopping with Me and Bradley," took off fast and helped lock in her image for good. The video pulled viewers straight into her world of luxury malls, designer stores, and expensive fashion. She walked through the scene with confidence, showing Birkin bags, designer sunglasses, Gucci, Chanel, and the kind of shopping environment most teenagers only see online. That was the hook. It was not just the money. It was how normal it all seemed to her. She did not act shocked by the price tags. She moved through that world like it belonged to her. For viewers, that mix of youth and extreme luxury was impossible to ignore. It was the perfect formula for clicks, reactions, jealousy, and criticism all at once. In a single video, she laid out the blueprint for the content that would define her channel. Shopping vlogs, designer hauls, and a lifestyle built around the idea that she was the Beverly Hills Brat in real life. Instagram had already been preparing people for that version of Nicolette. Before Dr. Phil, before viral clips, before the big headlines, she was building traction by posting highly styled photos that looked polished far beyond her age. She posed around Beverly Hills mansions, palm-lined driveways, luxury stores, and expensive neighborhoods, often dressed in designer outfits and giving runway model energy even without being attached to a major agency. Those pictures helped create an image that was hard to ignore. She looked rich, glamorous, and perfectly at home in that world. Teen followers started treating her page like inspiration. Comments poured in asking how rich she was, calling her goals, and trying to copy her look. That attention did not just boost her confidence, it helped shape her content. By the time television introduced her to a larger audience, she already had an aesthetic people recognized. Her friendship with Bradley also became an important part of that rise. Together, they leaned fully into the luxury shopping angle and made it feel almost like a world of its own. In their videos, they filmed unboxings, shopping trips, and designer reveals as if they were showing everyday life. They sat in polished bedrooms or nice cars opening Gucci boxes, trying on expensive clothes, and tossing around Chanel and Hermes items with total ease. That casual attitude made the content hit even harder. It was one thing to own luxury items, it was another thing to treat them like they were normal. That gave Nicolette a very clear niche. She was not just another teen vlogger. She was presenting a fantasy life that people wanted to either admire or attack, and often both at once. At the same time, family was always part of the picture, especially her bond with Blair. Nicolette and her younger sister appeared together in videos that gave people a closer look at the Gray household. Their relationship had that mix of love, competition, chaos, and drama that always pulls viewers in. Fans watched them argue over toys, join in birthday videos, show off shopping hauls, and move through their world as a sister duo shaped by wealth and attention. Blair was often more camera-shy, but she still had a strong presence, and together they created a kind of family dynamic that felt both entertaining and messy. At one point, Nina even considered bringing Blair onto Dr. Phil too, calling her a brat as well after issues over dolls and hoarding toys in her room. That detail made it clear the tension in the house was not only about Nicolette. The whole family had become part of the story. Still, despite the rumors about jealousy or unequal attention, videos like Meet My Sister showed real affection between them. Beneath the glam and the drama, there was a genuine sister bond that viewers kept coming back to. Their short-form content added even more to that image. Before TikTok became the giant platform it is known as, Nicolette and Blair were already experimenting with short dramatic clips that mixed family arguments with fashion and luxury. They would film quick scenes with tension over clothes, makeup, or attention, then cut straight into polished poses in designer outfits or expensive cars. That formula worked because it combined two things people cannot stop watching: drama and glamour. In local circles, those clips spread through gossip, shares, and direct messages, almost like mini reality show episodes before they ever had an official reality format. Looking back, it is easy to see how that style of content made producers and viewers interested. They were already turning family mess into entertainment. All of that content made sense once people understood the lifestyle behind it. Nicolette grew up in a large Beverly Hills mansion not far from Rodeo Drive, and Nina gave her a level of comfort that most people cannot even imagine. There was a personal trainer, a private driver, a nanny, and closets full of designer clothes and handbags. We are talking about Gucci, Chanel, and bags worth thousands of dollars stacked up like decorations. Nicolette once treated those luxury items almost like close companions, which says a lot about the world she grew up in. There were expensive dinners, yacht trips, fancy vacations, and a daily routine shaped by ease and access. Over time, that environment clearly affected how she viewed life. Luxury was not just something nice to have, it became the standard she judged everything by. That is where the real problem started to grow. Nina later admitted that she had overspoiled Nicolette, and by the time Nicolette hit her teens, that pattern had become hard to control. She wanted more and more, and ordinary limits began to feel insulting to her. One of the clearest examples was her demand for a Mercedes G-Wagon at 16, which fit perfectly with the image she had built online. Critics sometimes claimed the family was exaggerating their wealth for attention, but videos from inside the home showed expensive cars, jewelry drawers, and the kind of surroundings that made the claims hard to dismiss. The wealth was real. So was the entitlement it helped create. By her early teens, Nicolette's allowance had reportedly reached $5,000 a month, and she spent it exactly the way people expected. She shopped on Rodeo Drive, bought Gucci outfits, stacked jewelry, and filled drawers with expensive things she proudly showed in videos. Then came the moment that changed everything. Nina cut the allowance down to $1,000 a month. For most teenagers, that still sounds huge. But for Nicolette, it felt unbearable. That was the fight that spilled onto Dr. Phil in 2018, and it turned her into viral internet history. What made that episode so unforgettable was how seriously Nicolette reacted to the cut. She did not act like she had lost a privilege. She acted like she had been pushed into a crisis. She cried, complained, and said that $1,000 made her feel like a peasant. She insisted she needed at least $2,500 a month just to live normally. She wanted her shopping money, her car, and her lifestyle back. She talked as if losing luxury meant losing freedom. At one point, she even described home as feeling like prison, without the money and perks she believed she deserved. That response was what stunned people. It was not just the amount of money. It was how completely normal her entitlement seemed to her. The setup of the episode made it even bigger. The title itself, "My 15-year-old daughter is a rich and spoiled Beverly Hills brat," already promised chaos before the show even began. Then viewers learned that Nicolette had actually written to Dr. Phil herself, asking for help getting her mother in line. That detail changed the whole tone. It showed that she did not see herself as the problem. In her mind, the real issue was that her mom was no longer giving her enough. On stage, she defended herself, pushed back against the idea of getting a normal job, and seemed to believe that fame from the show could fix everything. That was the clip people replayed, joked about, and turned into memes. The allowance fight became the center of her public identity because it revealed the deeper clash underneath. Nina said the cut happened because Nicolette was overspending and acting like there was no limit. Dr. Phil pushed back hard, saying she needed responsibility and real work. Nicolette resisted that completely. She did not want to start small. She did not want the regular path. She had been shaped by a world where being ordinary felt like falling behind. And that is why the argument felt so intense. It was not just a mother disciplining a teenager. It felt like a clash between fantasy and reality. After her Dr. Phil appearance, Nicolette Gray did not just go viral in the usual way. She blew up all at once. People were angry, fascinated, and unable to stop watching. They attacked her for acting spoiled and for refusing to accept an ordinary life. Yet that same backlash pushed her name everywhere almost overnight. What made it stranger was that the hate did not slow her down. In a way, it pulled her forward. People kept clicking because they wanted to see what she would say next, what she would buy next, and what kind of chaos would come next. That is how the Beverly Hills Brat label took hold so fast. It was harsh, simple, and easy to remember. Very quickly, she stopped being just a girl from one TV appearance and turned into an internet character people argued about non-stop. Some thought she was completely real. Others thought she was playing a role for attention. But that argument only made her bigger, because every debate kept her moving across YouTube, Reddit, and gossip pages. The more people mocked her, the more her image spread. In a very twisted way, the backlash became part of the brand. What really surprised people was that the hate did not crush her online career. It fed it. Her audience jumped from almost nothing to a serious following because viewers wanted updates, reactions, and more drama. Instead of hiding from the attention, she leaned right into it. That made her even more controversial, but it also made her harder to ignore. Long after the original TV moment should have faded, she was still being watched. A big reason for that was the family drama. It never stayed private. The tension with her mother kept spilling into public view, and every new fight gave people another reason to follow the story. In her own videos, she talked about arguments, being kicked out, and chaotic moments at home. The audience picked apart every detail, and before long, a pattern formed. A problem would happen. It would get filmed, people would react, and then that reaction would create even more content. Her life started to feel less like ordinary life and more like a reality show that never really ended. Still, the story was not only damage and embarrassment. One of the oddest parts was that the public mess seemed to push her and her mother closer in some ways. Her mother later said the show improved their relationship more than she expected, even though she had regrets about doing it. That gave the whole story a different feeling. Under all the shouting and humiliation, there was still something human there. It was messy, but it was not empty. Then another layer entered the picture. Legal tension made everything feel more serious. It was no longer just a story about a spoiled, rich teenager. Online discussions and video commentary pointed to Nicolette talking about avoiding court service connected to her father's lawyer. and that changed the tone. Suddenly, the audience was not just watching attitude and shopping. They were watching what looked like a real family conflict with custody pressure and legal stress hanging over it. That made the story darker, and it gave people one more reason to stay glued to it. Once she had the internet's attention, Nicolette knew how to use it. Her YouTube rise was built on hauls, vlogs, and a very polished kind of chaos. After the Dr. Phil meltdown in 2018, where she complained that $1,000 a month was nowhere near enough and demanded luxury on top of it, she turned that same brat image into content. People watched her open huge shopping bags, show off expensive purchases, and complain in a way that was irritating, glossy, and strangely addictive. She posted in those heavy evening hours when people were already online and ready to scroll, and that timing helped. Her videos felt like a mix of entitlement, luxury, and raw internet theater. Even when she later joked that the show's styling made her look worse than she felt, that only added to the story. The mess had already done its work. She pushed even harder with the Beverly Hills Brat identity. Her content made it clear that she was not running from that label. She was using it. In haul videos, she opened designer boxes and turned shopping into spectacle. It was never just about the clothes or bags. It was about the image. Viewers were getting a look inside a world that felt exaggerated even by Beverly Hills standards. Massive luxury buys, flashy settings, family conflict in the background, and a girl who seemed completely aware that people were watching in disbelief. That combination kept people hooked. Then she did something even smarter. She reacted to her own Dr. Phil moment and turned humiliation into another viral event. In that reaction, she defended herself, laughed at parts of the episode, and admitted certain details about how she looked and how things were presented. At the same time, she revealed how ugly the backlash got. She talked about death threats, pressure on her mother, and how intense things became after the episode aired. But instead of letting that end the story, she folded it into the next chapter. The reaction video did not just explain the scandal, it extended it. From there, the branding got more obvious. She launched merch and sold the brat image back to the audience. Shirts, phone cases, and slogans built directly from the personality people were already arguing about. What made it work was that even people who disliked her were still part of the machine. Some bought things ironically, others followed just to keep up. Either way, attention was turning into money. Her collaborations helped too. With camera people and friends filming luxury trips and behind-the-scenes moments, her world started to feel even more cinematic. Expensive vacations, birthday trips, designer gifts, and polished chaos all became part of the formula. Even the darker stories, like the fear and attention that followed the Dr. Phil episode, got absorbed into the image. That is what made her rise feel so modern. Nothing was outside the content machine for long. Glamour went in. Conflict went in. Fear went in. It all became part of the same brand. As her following grew, she moved beyond being just a viral brat and started reaching for fashion. In 2019, she modeled for Modelist magazine in a shoot that gave her a much more polished and high-fashion image. It mattered because it showed a different version of her. Not the girl demanding more allowance on television, but someone who could fit into a luxury editorial world. The styling leaned soft and elegant, and it gave people a glimpse of what reinvention might look like for her. That interest in fashion became even more direct when she launched her own jewelry brand in 2020 with her childhood best friend, who was also named Nicolette. The name Nicolette Gray carried a luxury feel from the start. It played into her love of French style and her growing attachment to Paris as an idea and a symbol. The jewelry itself was simpler and more wearable than the giant drama that first made her famous, but that was the point. She was trying to turn taste into business. She promoted it in her outfits, in her vlogs, and across social media, so the brand did not feel separate from her life. It felt stitched into it. She also reached beyond the United States. Her appearance on the UK show this morning gave the Brat image a new international audience. On that show, she spoke calmly about the allowance and acted almost casual about a lifestyle that still shocked viewers. Her mother explained that giving in was sometimes easier than fighting every day, and that only made people more fascinated. Suddenly, Nicolette was not just a viral American teen. She was becoming a wider internet figure, someone whose clips could travel far outside their original moment. Years later, she showed another side of that transformation when she talked about earning serious money through TikTok Shop. That mattered because it changed the story from one built on family wealth to one built on internet money. People had first known her as the girl crying over luxury, but now she was presenting herself as someone making money through direct online selling and creator business. That shift gave her image a new kind of energy. She was no longer only someone people watched for drama. She was also someone using that attention to build revenue. Even family life kept turning into content. Her sister's birthday, ordinary home moments, and casual family gatherings were filmed and shaped into something bigger. The camera was always close. Gifts, tension, reactions, jokes, and arguments all became episodes. Over time, it grew harder to tell where real life ended and performance began. That blur may have been part of the appeal. Viewers felt like they were seeing something private, but it was being packaged in a way that made it feel almost scripted. The family was living, but they were also producing. At the height of her fame, Nicolette's image was everywhere. The Dr. Phil moment had given her a character people instantly recognized, and she built on it fast. The G-Wagon drama, the expensive hauls, the dramatic lifestyle, and the endless stream of content helped shape a persona that felt both outrageous and strangely consistent. She was not trying to become relatable, she was becoming memorable. That is why people kept watching. Her Instagram played a big role in that. There, she turned luxury into a daily feed. Shopping posts, polished photos, beauty shots, travel moments, and a carefully managed image kept the audience engaged between bigger videos. She monetized through brand deals and affiliate links, and the life she showed online looked expensive at every angle. Yet even in that polished world, the cracks stayed visible. Ex-friends, online critics, and reaction channels kept accusing her of staging too much, filming too much, and using private conflict for content. So even when she looked glamorous, the argument around her never really disappeared. It followed her everywhere. Fan culture made everything more intense. Some people tracked her life obsessively. They knew where she went, what she wore, and what she filmed. They watched salon visits, shopping runs, and family fallouts like they were following a series. That attention kept her relevant, but it also made her world feel unstable. The audience was no longer just watching. It was investigating, commenting, and building theories in real time. Some of those theories got wild. Rumors spread that her fame was manufactured, that parts of the Brat image were staged, and that the whole rise had been planned as a launch into influencer culture. Those claims stuck because her transformation was so fast. One minute, she was the shocking teenager on daytime TV. The next, she was turning that same scandal into YouTube growth, sponsorships, and a luxury personal brand. Whether people believed it all or not, the suspicion itself became part of the story. Then came another shift. By 2024, Nicolette was no longer just visiting Paris for content. She was leaning into it as a full identity change. In her vlogs, Paris became the setting for a new version of herself. The energy felt softer, calmer, and a little more reflective. The loud Beverly Hills chaos was still part of her history, but the new image was built around the idea of a dream life in Paris. Morning light, older buildings, cafes, antiques, and a more romantic kind of luxury began replacing the mall runs and dramatic shopping tantrums. But even there, reality kept slipping in. Her Paris vlogs were not pure fantasy. She talked about jet lag, bad hair days, noisy apartments, and awkward problems that made the dream feel messy. She filmed ordinary frustrations right beside the pretty visuals, and that contrast helped. It made the content feel more alive. She could walk through beautiful streets in a perfect outfit, then turn around and complain about exhaustion, hunger, or something embarrassing happening in public. That mix of glamour and inconvenience gave the Paris era its own charm. Her taste also seemed to change. Instead of only chasing new designer items, she started talking more about vintage finds, antiques, and pieces with history. A handbag was no longer just a flashy purchase. It became part of a new image, one tied to collecting, curation, and a more grown-up version of luxury. She described herself less like a spoiled girl, grabbing the newest thing, and more like someone building a refined world around herself. Whether people fully believed that shift or not, the effort was clear. Even her social media reflected it. The old brat branding gave way to a softer aesthetic. Her apartment, her finds, her outfits, and her captions all pushed the idea that she was evolving. Beverly Hills had been about bright excess. Paris became about mood, texture, and identity. She was not erasing the old image. She was layering something new over it. Of course, the drama never fully vanished. Her Paris life brought a new wave of rumors and online speculation. Nightlife clips, messy moments, deleted posts, and resurfaced old videos kept people talking. Fans and critics looked at everything through the lens of scandal. A strange night out could become a full theory. A drop in content could become a story about decline. A legal clip from the past could suddenly return and make the family story feel chaotic all over again. That was the pattern of her fame. Nothing stayed buried for long. At the same time, backlash around her money and image kept growing. Some people started pushing the idea that her luxury life had always been exaggerated, that the rich girl persona was more fragile than it looked, and that the influence of her mother's money had played a bigger role than she admitted. Others focused on the way she disappeared and returned, promising comebacks, then stepping away again. To them, the rise looked unstable, but even that instability became part of the attraction. Viewers wanted to know whether she was thriving, faking it, reinventing herself, or falling apart. The uncertainty kept the story alive. By the time people started asking where she was now, the answer was not simple. She was still active, still online, still moving between places, especially Beverly Hills and Paris. Still posting travel, fashion, friend outings, and a version of luxury that felt tied to her original image, even when it looked more mature. What changed was not the core idea. It was the packaging. She had learned how to stretch one viral identity across years, platforms, and reinventions. That may be the most surprising part of the whole story. Nicolette Gray did not become famous because people admired her. She became famous because people were shocked by her, annoyed by her, and curious about her all at once. Most people who rise that way burn out fast. She did not. She turned ridicule into reach into content, content into business, and business into longevity. The girl once mocked as a spoiled brat found a way to keep selling the same fascination back to the internet, only in new forms each time.